What if Guy Fawkes had a successor? Imagine this. It's 1820, just a short walk from Parliament, and a group of revolutionaries are planning an act of terror that would make the gunpowder plot look like a dress rehearsal. Their goal? To kill the entire British cabinet in one fell swoop, parade the heads of government ministers through London on pikes, and trigger a revolution to remake Britain. This is the incredible true story of the Cato Street Conspiracy, the most sensational plot you have probably never heard of, and the government spy who brought it all crashing down. So, what drives people to such an audacious plot? To get it, you have to understand the world that made them. Britain in 1820 was a nation on edge. The Napoleonic Wars were finally over, but peace hadn't brought prosperity. Instead, it brought a crushing economic depression. Soldiers came home to find no jobs, and thanks to the hated corn laws, the price of bread was sky high. This widespread misery was the perfect breeding ground for radical ideas. Across the country, people were demanding a voice, demanding reform. But the government, led by Prime Minister Lord Liverpool, didn't meet these calls with compromise. It met them with an iron fist. The breaking point came on August 16, 1819 at St. Peter's Field in Manchester. A crowd of 60,000 unarmed men, women, and children had gathered peacefully to demand the right to vote. In response, local magistrates sent in the cavalry, who charged with saber drawn. It was a massacre. 18 people were killed and hundreds were horribly injured. The public nicknamed it the Peterloo Massacre, a bitter, mocking twist on the celebrated victory at Waterloo. Instead of holding anyone accountable, the government doubled down, passing a series of repressive laws known as the Six Acts. These laws had one purpose: to crush the reform movement. They banned public mob meetings of more than 50 people, gave magistrates power to search homes for weapons, and jacked up taxes on newspapers to silence the radical press. For many, that was it. Peaceful protest was met with violence, and now the law itself was used to shut them up. In this pressure cooker of anger and desperation, a radical group called the Pensian Philanthropists decided that if the government wouldn't listen to reason, it would be forced to listen to terror. Their leader was a man named Arthur Thistlewood, a former soldier and veteran radical. Thistlewood was a man long watched by government spies and described as a dangerous character. He and his followers were inspired by the thinker Thomas Spence, who dreamed of a Britain without landlords, where land was owned by everyone. After Peterloo, Thistlewood was furious. High treason was committed against the people at Manchester. Insurrection then became a public duty, and he was ready to do his duty. The plan Thistlewood cooked up was as shocking as it was simple. They saw a notice in newspaper announcing what they believed was a golden opportunity. The entire British cabinet, including the Prime Minister, was scheduled to dine at the home of Lord Harrowby on the evening of February 23, 1820. The conspirators would storm the dinner party armed with pistols, swords, and homemade grenades. Their orders were to kill every single minister. But that wasn't all. One plotter, James Inks, boasted he would sever the heads of two of the most hated officials, Lord Sidmouth and Lord Castlereagh. These heads were then to be stuck on pikes and paraded through the streets of London. This gruesome spectacle was meant to be the spark for a nationwide revolution. After the assassinations, they planned to seize the Bank of England and the Tower of London and set up a committee of public safety to run the country, just like in the French Revolution. They truly believed the people of London, seeing the heads of their oppressors, would rise up and join them. But their grand, bloody plan was built on a lie. At the heart of their circle, urging them on, was a man named George Edwards. He was Thistlewood's trusted second in command, a passionate revolutionary who even helped buy weapons. He was also a government spy, an agent, provocateur, paid by the very men they planned to murder. On the night of February 23rd, about 25 men gathered in a crammed hayloft above a stable on a little side street, Cato Street. As Thistlewood's men made their final checks in the Cato Street hayloft, the trap snapped shut. A dozen Bow Street runners, London's early police foe, burst into the stable pro. The scene exploded into chaos. As the runners scrambled up the ladder, the conspirators kicked out the candle, plunging the loft in the darkness. In the frantic struggle, Arthur Thistlewood ran an officer, Richard Smithers, through with his sword, killing him on the spot. In the conclusion, some plotters, including Thistlewood, escaped out the back window, but most were concerned as army troops swarmed the buildings. The great Cato Street Conspiracy was over. Within days, thanks to the list provided by George Edwards, the rest of conspirators were rounded up. Justice was swift and brutal. At their trial, the defense argued the men were entrapped by the spy George Edwards, who was pushed to the case but was never called to testify. He had been quietly shipped out of the country by his handlers. The verdict was never in doubt. 5 conspirators were sentenced to transportation for life to Australia. For Arthur Thistlewood and 4 of his lieutenants, the sentence was death. On May 1st, 1820, they were hanged in front of Newgate prison. As Thistlewood's head was held up for the crowd, the executioner proclaimed, "This is the head of Arthur Thistlewood, the traitor." The crowd reportedly responded not with cheers, but with a horrified groans. So why has this plot, arguably more dramatic than Guy Fawkes, been largely forgotten? In the aftermath, most mainstream radicals condemned the violence to distance themselves from it. The government chose the plot as the ultimate justification for its repressive laws, and the bloody failure marked the end of a certain kind of violent revolutionary tradition in England. Yet the conspiracy left its mark. The sheer brutality of the plot and the equal brutality of the state's response exposed the terrifying deviance in Britain. It revealed a government paranoid enough to encourage a plot just to crush it, and citizens desperate enough to see assassination as their only way out. The shockwaves from Cato Street added to the growing public demand for real political change. The discontent that fueled the plot couldn't be ignored forever. Though a bloody failure, the episode had built unstoppable led the Great Reform Act of 1832, the first major step on Britain's long road to modern democracy. The Cato Street Conspiracy remains a dark, desperate, and fascinating chapter in Britain, a story of rage and betrayal that revealed a nation at war with itself. The Cato Street Conspiracy is a chilling look at how close Britain came to a revolution, born from injustice and government repression. But what do you think? Are there any audacious or forgotten plots from your country's history? I would love to read about them in the comments. And if you found the story compelling, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.